Dear students, welcome to the course Introduction to Metaphysics of Sanskrit Language. This is lecture 11. Today we are going to discuss the second topic, that is characteristics of Parama Śiva, because we have already gone through the introduction of Kashmir Śaiva Darśana, and for detailed understanding we need to have basic understanding about the ultimate reality first. So we are going to enter into the discussion about the characteristics of Parama Śiva. Parama Śiva is equals to ultimate reality here. This is a technical term of the darshan which is titled as Kashmir Śaiva Darśana. So, just like in other disciplines we have technical terms, in the same way we are having so many technical terms in our own Indian corpus also. So, Parama Śiva, rather than relating these entities with some kind of imaginary structures we worship regularly, you follow them as the technical term of the Shastra. So, here what does it mean? What does Parama Śiva mean? So, as per the understanding of this darshan, this entity, this reality, this technical existence, basically Parama Śiva is denoting you the ultimate existence. So, this is also having these words like Anuttara, Cit, Chaitanya, Purna, Parasamvit, then Shiva, Parameshwar, Ātman. These are the variations. Throughout the corpus of the Shastra, you will find the variations wherever the desired content is available as a focused or you can say that the point of focus on a particular character is depicted by a particular word, because I have already explained that there are no two words which are exact synonyms in Sanskrit. So, similarly, though all these words are having very specific meaning, like Ātman is having very specific meaning related with the self, denoting self. In the same way, Anuttara is denoting 16 types of possible meanings. Anuttara, if you split the word Anuttara, it will be like first Uttar, then Ana. So, how this single word can signify total 16 types of possible meanings, and that is why each word is very specific in its focus or point of concentration. In the same way, Chit is depicting the luminous intelligence, Chaitanya, consciousness or conscious entity or being aware of everything, that is Chaitanya, and Purna, completeness, Parasamvit, that means ultimate existence, that is luminous in nature, just like sun. Sun is a luminous, that is why in Rigveda we worship sun. In the same way we worship Agni. These are the constituents of nature, but they are worshipped because we are belonging to the pagan culture. In the same way, Parameshwar, Shiv, etc., these are also having some specific meaning. Still, they are just denoting the ultimate existence throughout the corpus of Agama and in Kashmir Śaiva Darśana also. And they represent the characteristics. What possible characteristics? First one, that this particular word itself, this particular technical word denoting ultimate existence is depicting that this entity is supreme one, higher than which there is nothing, number one. Then it is ineffable and indescribable as this or that, or as not this or not that. That means you can say the reach of the Vak Tattva vanishes because Para state dominates. I told you that Para cannot be depicted because at the Para state signifier and signified both are superposed. When there is no signifier and there is no separate signified, then we won't be able to use language, and that is why it is indescribable, avarnaniya hai, जिसका वर्णन शब्दों में संभव नहीं है. इसीलिए that's why I told you that bhavas are very subtle and sometimes you cannot even express your bhav because they are so subtle that they are reaching or touching to the para state. Avarnaniya hai, that's why they are indescribable, and it's a pure form, purest possible form of existence is Parama Śiva. In the same way, it's self-conscious. That means you are aware about yourself also. It's not like who am I is missing. You are not having the answer. No. Who am I is answered. So you are self-consciousness. That level of existence is Parama Śiva, and it is non-dual. There is no duality. There is only one single entity. In the same way, it's the self of everything. The thing which is residing inside of me, the same entity is residing all of you and all the entities surrounding us. That is the self of everything, is single entity. The next is integral or supreme experience. After that, there is nothing left out for experience or to be experienced. So, this is the supreme experience, the benign one, the highest good and bliss, at which level your happiness gets converted into bliss. That means an unending happiness. Right now, whatever you are having, in English we have the three words: pleasure, then happiness, and then bliss. What they suggest actually? Pleasure is a very temporary thing. Very temporary. Just like you want to eat samosa, you will satisfy your senses by eating it. This is the sensual pleasure. To satisfy the senses is pleasure, and it's very temporary. Even the thirst and the hunger we are having or feeling or experiencing, that is a sensual pleasure, and it's very temporary, momentary, for a single or a few of the minutes or the moments or the seconds. That is the range of you can say that is a range which varies in different organisms. Happiness is little bit longer, like you are right now happy because you are feeling relaxed after enjoying Deepavali and so on. So this is a kind of feeling which is with you for some longer period of time, happiness. And bliss is an eternal state of happiness, never ending. That is not going to be ended at all. That's why it's the highest possible good or bliss. Formless yet informed with all the forms. Just like I told you, Parama Śiva can be understood very clearly by the dormant state of a seed. In the dormant state of the seed, all the things are already available in the form of a genetic code. So it is already having all the forms, informed with all the forms inside of it. Still it becomes a formless, because Parama Śiva is at the stage where differentiation is not available. It's a non-dual entity. So being formless also, and still having the information of all the possible forms which are going to be manifested in diversity. Free from all the limitations of space and time, very important, most important thing. Space and time vanishes at some point of level. Now, in further lectures, I will explain the concept of time and space in Indian understanding. So, space and time ke bhi beyond hai, kal atit hai. Atit means beyond. So, kala atit, that means beyond of space and time. Deshatit and kalatit. Conceived both as transcendental and immanent. So, the last one is very important because it is depicting the state of existence when you question if everything is vanished, then also what is there. जब कुछ नहीं है तब क्या है, तब क्या है, तो उसका उत्तर देते हैं. The state of existence, the ultimate existence which is represented by the title or the term Parama Śiva is immanent and transcendent both. Once you dissolve everything, then also there will be something, and that state is known as transcendent state, Vishwa Uttirna. That means once the Vishwa goes in the dissolution process, then also there is the existence. And once the Vishwa is coming or appearing in the form of existence, then it is immanent. So consciousness, or you in a very rough term or rough understanding that we are having in the field of sciences, that energy can never be destroyed, never be created, it changes from one form to another form. इसका क्या मतलब है, यही सजेस्ट कर रहा है कि एट द पॉइंट ऑफ हाइएस्ट पॉसिबल डिसोल्यूशन और डिस्ट्रक्शन ऑल्सो देयर द एनर्जी इज नेवर गोइंग टू बी डिस्ट्रक्टेड एट ऑल, हमेशा के लिए ख़त्म नहीं हो जाएगी. देयर विल बी स्टेट वेयर एवरीथिंग विल बी अवेलेबल बट इन अ डिसॉल्व्ड फॉर्म. So that is a transcendent state, and when everything is being manifested on the canvas, everything is in appearance, that is the immanent state, when everything is getting represented in the form of duality or diversity or multiplicity. So these 10 are the characteristics of the Parama Śiva, and Parama Śiva is what? ultimate existence, ultimate reality or ultimate existence. After this, we need to have the understanding about the two forms of the Parama Śiva. That means the ultimate existence can be represented into two forms. One form is Prakāśa or luminous form, second is the thoughtful Vimarśa form. Prakāśa form is like when sun is there, you are having the luminosity and everything gets illuminated because of that luminosity. So, Prakāśa form of consciousness presents or provides us that luminosity through which everything becomes luminous. Just like I told you in some previous lectures also, like if there is darkness in the room, there is no light in the room, in a dark room you enter it and there is nothing visible, still you are trying to catch the different objects. How? Because of the luminosity present inside of you. That is giving you the power to reach to that particular object or point. Through your own luminosity, through your cognitive embedded intelligence, you try to identify the things present in a dark room also. So, you are luminous inside, you are having that luminous intelligence within yourself in the form of Chaitanya. So, this is the Prakāśa form. Second form, your thoughtful aspect. Once you enter into the room, then you start identifying the things through your thought process. That might be, I kept that thing in the right side, so I should move 10 steps ahead, I would reach to that particular object. This is the kind of information coming from within automatically. So, this is the thoughtful structure. So, our consciousness, our ultimate existence has the two possible forms. One is the luminous nature and second is the thoughtful nature. Luminosity actually illuminates everything within you also and outward also, that means external to us also, inside of us also and outside of us also. And the thoughtful aspect provides us the intelligence to identify the things within also and outside also. So, these are the two characteristics which are present as a part of our consciousness. So, the Parama Śiva or ultimate existence or ultimate reality is having two possible forms. One is a Prakāśa form, second is a Vimarśa form. Prakāśa हर चीज़ को प्रकाशित कर देगा और विमर्श उसका ज्ञान कर लेता है. So, we function just because of these two characters. After this, in the Kashmir Śaiva Darśana, there is a principle of Shakti, which is understood as the power of manifestation. Because I told you that Shakti is not equals to the energy, Shakti is intelligible energy and a kind of energy who knows herself. So, Shakti is the principle of manifestation and in totality, Shakti is the Shakti has been given a name or a technical name as a Chiti in Kashmir Śaiva Darśana, as a unified power of Parama Śiva. So, if you have ever seen the structure of Ardhanarishwar, I told you in the process of self-talk, we ourselves have that structure of Ardhanarishwar, half feminine, half masculine. That means that is not Purush or Stri, that is the energy, a form which is passive and a form which is active. So, the passive one is behind in the background and the active one is in the foreground. Once the Shakti is in the foreground, the process of manifestation begins. So, Shakti is the functionality. That is why I told you that's like in onion, when the first germination comes out, that is functionality. Because of that germination itself, we identify the functionality. So, once the Shakti comes on the foreground, manifestation begins. So, here Shakti is unified. In a unified state, Shakti is titled as Chiti, and when Shakti enters into the process of diversification, that means manifestation, she herself splits into 5 possible forms, and 5 possible forms are Cit, Ānanda, Icchā, Jnāna and Kriyā. Cit is pure intelligence, the first one. Without intelligence, you cannot even think what is going to be created. अगर आप कुछ बनाने जा रहे हैं, आपको पता तो होना चाहिए कि क्या बनाने वाला हूँ. So, that is intelligence. So, first power becomes pure intelligence, that is Chit. Second is Ānanda. You must be very happy in creating that. Suppose you are very happy, then what you do, a lot of people enjoy cooking. So why? Because let us create, let us do something, let us cook something very special because today I am very happy. So in the state of happiness, you are ready to create anything you desire. So the second splitted power becomes Ānanda Śakti, Ānand. First is Cit, first need is तुम्हें पता होना चाहिए क्या पकाना है, दूसरा कैसे पकाना है, उसे कैसे enjoy करना है, तो आनंद, चिद and then आनंद, then इच्छा, your desire to create, and then knowledge about the process how to create, and then kriya, that means how to perform that particular task. So in your daily life, for example, in your examination, if your unified power is not condensed enough, you are distracted in so many things, like somebody is messaging you, somebody is calling you outside, and you are not able to concentrate on the studies for your examinations, your unified power would not be concentrated at a single point. Then what would happen? You won't be able to perform with 100% efficiency of your own energy. So the 100% performance comes, or you can say the proficiency. The term proficiency includes professional efficiency. What is professional efficiency? When you actually put up your 100% in some task, that becomes the proficiency in that task, and in that proficiency your splitted energies are condensed together to perform that particular task, and in that state your kriya, jnana, icchā, anand and chit all are functional. First is intelligence, second is ultimate happiness or bliss. You must be happy in studying. If you are not happy in studying that particular subject, or you are not happy to study for the examination for that particular subject, you won't study perfectly, you won't perform perfectly. So you won't get the result perfectly. That's the very simple way of execution and the results. Whatever you executed, that is the result. So this is the very important thing, pure intelligence, then your Ānanda Śakti, then your Icchā Śakti, that is the willpower, the Jnāna Śakti is the knowledge power, how to attain that knowledge, and Kriyā Śakti is your action power. When these fivefold powers proceed towards delimitation, then manifestation begins. So you assume that at a first instance, what is happening? There is infinite, limitless energy. Infinite, limitless, unbound pure energy, unbound pure intelligible energy, who is actually knowing that I am going to create whole of the cosmos, whole of the manifestation is going to appear on the canvas. That is the state when the creation is going to begin. Now what happens? For that state itself, which is being represented as unified state, or you can say the limitless, unbound state of pure intelligible energy, that is known as Chitti, and Chitti has been defined as Chitti Swatantra Vishwa Siddhi Hetu Swekshaya Sobhittau Vishwam Unmilyati. For understanding this Karika of Pratyabhigya Hridayam, that is the text of Kashmir Śaiva Darśana, we need to have an example in our mind, just like when you boil the water. In a vessel you boil the water. So what happens? At the surface of the water itself, there are so many bubbles. They evolve from the surface of the water, then they get dissolved in the surface of the water, and the process is continuous. So bubbles are appearing on the surface of the water, then they are getting dissolved or disappearing in the same water. So we are the same entity. A grand state of water is the pure, unbound, limitless energy which is going to perform. And when the bubbles are being created, bubbles are us. We are the bubbles. We are being created at the canvas of the Shakti, and then we stay for some time, then again we get dissolved in the same water. So appearance and disappearance. We are continuously in that cycle. We appear, sustain, disappear. Appear, sustain, disappear. Each and every entity which is available right now here is just like that. From a grand possible reality, each and every possible manifested form appears on the canvas of the Shakti. So here what is mentioned? Chitti is that who is Swatantra, who is absolutely free, not like us. हम स्वतंत्र नहीं हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि हम हमेशा किसी न किसी लिमिटेशन में हैं. स्वतंत्र is who, actually who is स्वतंत्र, who is having absolute freedom. That is only स्वतंत्र, जो केवल अपने अधीन हो. दूसरे के अधीन ना हो, जो दूसरे पर निर्भर ना करे, that who is not dependent on any other thing, that is only absolutely free. So we are not absolutely free, we are in limitations. So Chitti at that state when everything is going to be manifested, that is Swatantra, she is absolutely free, number one. Then Vishwa Siddhi Hetu, she is the cause, Hetu means cause, and Vishwa Siddhi means that she is the reason of the manifestation of the cosmos. Vishwa ki siddhi ka karan hai. Svekshaya means at her own will, there is no one who is going to give her the order to create. Svekshaya, that means at her own will, that energy, that intelligible energy manifests everything at her own will. Swabhittav means at her own surface. That means when you boil the water, at the surface of the water itself the bubbles are coming. There is no other surface, कोई और surface नहीं है जिस पर वो bubble appear कर रहा है. So at the surface of that particular intelligible energy, everything is appearing as a manifested entity, then again getting dissolved in the same one. So first is Svekshaya at her own will, then Swabhittau at her own surface. Vishwam Unmilayati, she opens up the Vishwa. So विश्व इज़ नॉट लाइक कि आज एक ज़ीरो से शुरुआत की थी 100 पे जाकर ख़त्म हो जाएगा, जो आप लोग हमें बताया जा रहा है कि कई बार ऐसा होता है ना, इन द साइंस फिक्शन मूवीज़ वी सी लाइक there will be some day where everything will just vanish, to get destructed, or you can say absolute destruction. There is no concept of absolute destruction. We just appear and disappear. How? Just by the process of revelation and then again concealment. Revelation is unmilan, just like a bud opens up. From the bud a flower is coming into existence, that means the bud opens up. In the same way, when the bud opens up, the creation is appearing on the surface, and in the same way when the bud closes down, everything again goes back to its state of disappearance. So something which is disappeared is not in existence, that's a real understanding which we have been provided. ऐसा कभी नहीं डिक्लेयर कर सकते कि जो दिखाई नहीं दे रहा, जो अपीयरेंस में नहीं है, वो खत्म हो गया है. No, whatever it has been disappeared, it is in disappearance, it is invisible. It may be in disappearance, it may be invisible, but it's not completely distracted, it's not possible. So that's why here the Vishwam Unmilyat is the last word. It opens up the Vishwa at her own surface, at her own will. So what are the characteristics of the Chitti? There are two characteristics. First is the independent will, that is absolute freedom. Second is she is the cause of manifestation of the Vishwa. And third, how she performs this task? By just revealing the manifested entities from within herself, at her own will, at her own surface. So this is how Chitti has been defined. In Kashmir Śaiva Darśana, this theory, when just like I am giving you example of water, when we boil the water there are so many bubbles on the surface. In the same way here in Kashmir Śaiva Darśana, the theory of reflection is being explained in detail, how we get reflected, and that theory is known as Bimba-Pratibimbavāda. I will discuss it in the later lectures in detail. How this happens, how limitation happens. Once we are appearing at the surface of the intelligible energy, we become limited in our potencies. Just like you imagine at the surface of the water, so many bubbles are there, but each and every bubble is limited in its potency. Number one, time span, how much duration it is going to exist, number one. Kitna size ka hai, what is the size of that bubble. Then what is the properties that is having. Each of the attribute is very different for each of the bubble. That means हर एक bubble का एक अलग attribute है, character है, and that means we as an manifested entity are having limited potencies. So once the energy is manifesting everything at her own surface, whatever is being created in the form of all of us or all the entities available here, they are limited interpotencies. That's why we are feeling that we are living entities, we can talk, we can experience, we can share the things, but this table cannot. So this is our limitation, this is the limitation of the table, this is the limitation of the chair. So everything which is appearing on the canvas is having a limitation in the potencies. What potencies? The 5 powers. Cit, Ānanda, Icchā, Jñāna and Kriyā. These are the 5 potential which each and every manifested entity possess, but they become limited, and the degree of limitation will decide what is the level of that particular manifested entity. That's why we think that this table is non-living or a dead substance, but maybe inside of it there are so many electrons, protons, we know it, and electrons are movable, ye bhi pata hai. So how that mobility is still available? If Kriyā, Jnana, Icchā Shaktis are not available to it, that means there are Icchā, Jnana, Kriyā. Kriyā to hai hi, tabhi electron mobile hai. So that means the potencies are there, but they are so delimited that we cannot actually comprehend it. So this is how limitation is progressing, just in the range of degree of limitation. Different manifestation and manifested entities are appearing on the canvas and then again getting dissolved in the same energy or ultimate unified power or state. So from here itself we have to understand 3 possible dimensions in each of the darshan. When we talk about the darshan shastra, in each of the darshan we can actually classify it for the sake of our understanding in the 3 possible parts. First is tattva mimamsa, second is pramana mimamsa, and third is the shrishti prakriya. This is the method through which we actually study a particular darshan. And in Western understanding, when philosophy was being studied, because philosophy is not a branch which has emerged in India, no. सबसे पहले philosophy और दर्शन शब्द का अंतर समझ लो और हमेशा के लिए याद रखना. Philosophy is the branch which was systematically presented in the West, like the philosophy of Aristotle, philosophy of Socrates. Okay, darshan is the branch which has been studied and established in Indian corpus, and they both are completely opposite in nature, but still in the fashion, in our limitation in understanding, they both the terms have been superposed and they have misguided everything. So what is the basic difference? In philosophy, ideology dominates. Idea of a person dominates. Idea of a person, that means Aristotle का कोई idea है, Socrates का कोई idea है, वो चीज़ पढ़ाई जाती है, पढ़ी जाती है. But in darshan shastra, we investigate the method, we investigate the process, and then we then the process undergoes through the 5 steps of experimental verification, like observation, then pratigya, hetu, upnay, agaman, then nigaman. That means 5 stages through which a particular research is carried out to conclude at some point of perfect conclusion. So this darshan shastra is the branch which has been which is a kind of investigative sciences. So darshan is not equals to the philosophy at all, and in philosophy the people were in a habit of studying the philosophy, or you can say philosophy of any specific person. They were in a habit of studying it like ontology, epistemology, and then metaphysics. So the words ontology, epistemology and metaphysics are being borrowed from that discipline, and then our darshanas were studied with that referential framework. That means we used the spectacle of the philosophy and we studied the darshan shastra with those nomenclatures like ontology, epistemology, and then metaphysics. So in turn, what happened? Tattva mimamsa was equated with the ontology, pramana mimamsa was equated with epistemology, and shrishti prakriya was equated with the metaphysics. But actually, darshan shastra do not undergo only with these 3 concepts. Darshan has much more range of investigation apart from these things also. So that's why darshan is not equivalent to the philosophy at all. But here what we are going to study after studying these three things, we will discuss the rest of the things which are not the part of the philosophy, because we are a part of Darshan Shastra. We are right now studying Kashmir Śaiva Darśana. So, we have to undergo the Darshan Shastra. In that sense, first thing which is there, that is Tattva Mīmānsa. What is Tattva? Number one, Tattva. You need to have the understanding about Tattva. Just like I told what is the meaning of Sat, Satta. In the same way, we need to have the understanding about Tattva. So, Tattva is also splitted as Tat, then Tva. So, whenever Tva is used in Sanskrit, it denotes abstractness, just like Pat, Patatva, Ghat, Ghatatva. Now, what is the meaning? Ghat means pot, and when we have made the word Ghatatva, it means potness, like Manushya, Manushyatva, human and humanism or humanness. That means ness word is denoting the abstract feeling, potness, घड़े के होने का भाव. That's why I told you, you should never translate भाव as equals to emotions. भाव और emotion का कोई संबंध नहीं है. भाव मतलब अस्तित्व, existence. So, potness gets destroyed once the pot is destroyed. In the same way, clothness, patatva, pat means cloth and patatva means clothness. That in the same way, if you understand this word tattva, tattva means saha tau te, tam tau tani, these are the roop, these are the forms. Sa, tatte, tani, tatte, tani, those who are familiar with the forms, saha, sa and tat. These are the three forms to denote that. Okay? So, saha is denoting the masculine gender, pulling. अगर मुझे कहना है a boy is reading a book or a boy reads a book, so I will use a pronoun for the boy as saha pathati. If I want to convey the meaning that a girl reads a book, I will say sa pathati. And if I have to say for a neuter gender like a book, वो कोई पुस्तक है, इदम पुस्तकम अस्ति, और मैंने किसी पुस्तक को एड्रेस करना है, then I will have to use tat. Tat is the neuter gender, napunsakling. So, tat means that and tva means ness, that-ness. Now, you basically understand how Tattva Mīmānsa is not equals to the ontology, क्योंकि that-ness तो abstract हो गई. That-ness is not a kind of entity or a word which is denoting a category of existence. It is something which is abstract in nature, metaphysical. That's why we are studying the course Metaphysics of Sanskrit language. Metaphysical, that means which is abstract in nature, which is very subtle, cannot be delimited into a perfect shape, size and structure. That is getting represented with a ness. So, Tattva is identifying the existence of that. That is whom? That is consciousness. That means consciousness. चैतन्य कैसे कैसे एग्जिस्ट करेगा, मैं ये बताने जा रहा हूँ, तब लिखा जाएगा कि तत्व मीमांसा बताने जा रहा हूँ. How the consciousness is going to exist, in what possible forms the consciousness is going to exist, that is being described and defined in Tattva Mīmānsa. Mīmānsa systematically presented that particular understanding. That's why we supplemented this word with the Tattva, Tattva Mīmānsa. Analyzing or interpreting Tattvas. Tattvas means that-ness or the possible ways of existence of the ultimate existence, which is coming as our delimited manifested form. So, this is Tattva Mīmānsa. Now, in Kashmir Śaiva Darśana, we have total 36 Tattvas. Number 1, 36. 36 is a very important number. It will be dealt in detail in the sciences of the mantra and when I will define the chakras. So, 36 are classified in 3 possible groups. First group is of Shuddha. Second is of transitional phase. And third is of Ashuddha. And what is meant here as a Shuddha, Ashuddha? Shuddha doesn't mean कि आपने नहाया नहीं है तो अब शुद्ध नहीं है. No. Shuddha means that which is without limitation. A state where limitation in the potency is not dominating. That is Shuddha state. Just like you have seen so many movies where you have seen so many characters, imaginative characters who have so many of the power. A lot of power they are possessing. So the stage where your powers are at peak, they have not undergone limitations. They are you can say they are those existences which are being represented as Shuddha Tattva. Second is a transitional phase where limitation has begun. Still they are in between. There are few characters which are available because of their non-delimited state, and there are few characters which are coming to them because of their delimitations. So the transitional phase. And the last is Ashuddha, means the limitation has captured them completely. So they are engrossed with the limitations. So they are Ashuddha. So in this method of classification, we have 5 ones in Shuddha, and they are Shiva, Shakti, Sadashiva, Ishwar and Shuddha Vidya. These are the names, technical words. Shiva is denoting the consciousness at the beginning of the manifestation. Shakti is denoting that intelligible unified energy who is functioning. That means the first germination, that is Shakti. Sadashiva is that stage where thisness begins to emerge. That means duality is appearing on the canvas. Ishwar is that where thisness dominates, that means duality dominates. So from a single cell, when the division begins, first stage is completely, the second cell is completely not separate, it has emerged. So first that is Sadashiva, and second is thisness dominates, now it is becoming full grown and this is dominating completely. And third is Shuddha Vidya, where it becomes in equilibrium. दोनों ही बराबर हो जाती हैं. So you just imagine how we have been taught in sciences the cell division process of any of the things like bacteria, paramecium, amoeba, so many structures we have already studied. You compare it with that understanding. How the manifestation begins, that understanding is here. Once the stage is of pure consciousness, that is the Shiva state. Once the Shakti dominates, the functionality dominates, that is Shakti Tattva. Third stage, at the third stage, the second dual aspect or the thisness emerges. And next stage, thisness dominates, and at the last stage, both are in equilibrium. So these are the 5 elements which are representing non-delimited form of existences: Shiv, Shakti, Sadashiv, Ishwar and Shuddha Vidya. After that, we have the transitional elements, and this transitional elements are very important. Transitional phase is very important because in this transitional phase itself, we have time and space, Kal and Kala. So here you can see first is Maya, then Kala, then Vidya, then Rag, then Niyati and then Kal. Starting from Maya, what is Maya? Maya is also a very technical term. Maya is a covering which produces limitations. For example, for understanding this concept, you need to have, suppose this is the pure consciousness. You place a bulb inside of this bottle. So it will be completely representing a luminous conscious entity. Okay? So for that instance, let us assume that this will be a first stage of consciousness. Then after the process of Shuddha Tattvas, that is the first stage of manifestation. When the Shuddha Tattvas are appearing, they have appeared, then transitional phase is going to come. What is going to happen? Maya, you just suppose there is a cover. You cover it with a polythene or any wrapper, transparent wrapper. The first covering will be of Maya. It will be covered by that thing. Then Kala. Kala is that covering which will produce and occupy limited residences. That means once the second covering will come, actually Maya is having the 5 coverings within her. So Kala, Vidya, Rag, Niyati and Kal are the 5 powers of Maya herself. Once Maya covers it, automatically these 5 will come, and one by one they will delimit the potency. Kala will create limited residences. Not all the space will be declared as the residence of the creatures. Just like we are having so many spaces, but I cannot make my home in the garden. The area which has been decided or restricted for the garden or as a forest or as a pond, I cannot build my home there. Why? Because the residences are restricted to the faculty residences like this one, student residences like this one. So we cannot make our residences everywhere. In the same way, Kala is creating limited residences. Vidya is producing limited knowledge. Not everything will be known to the creatures which are going to be manifested. इसलिए हम सब कुछ नहीं जानते. We are not सर्वज्ञ. सब कुछ जानने वाले नहीं हैं. Any person cannot declare herself or himself or oneself as a sarvajya until and unless you cross the state of transition and you reach to the state of Parama Śiva, that is the highest possible ultimate existence. So here Vidya is the covering which is producing limited knowledge. Rag is that which is producing attachments, because you will occupy something, you will be attached to that thing. I have created it, ये मेरा है, मत लेकर जाओ, ये मेरा पेन है, मुझे अच्छा लगता है. So because I have created it, so my copyright is there. So your attachment will be there with your home, your surroundings, your every possession. That is created by Rag. Niyati will create a limited freedom. Not everything, the thing which is going to be manifested right now after transition phase would not be possessing absolute freedom, just like Chitti. Chitti was having absolute freedom, independent will. Chitti swatantra vishwa siddhi hetu, swekshaya sobhittau vishwam unmilayati. But now whatever is going to be created, that will be possessing limited freedom. हम सब कुछ नहीं कर सकते, कुछ कर सकते हैं. Then Kal, last one is Kal, time. That will create mortality, your eternality, that level of highest possible existence which was unbound in nature. That's why it was nitya, eternal. जिसका कभी destruction possible ही नहीं है, वो eternal है. लेकिन हम सब mortals हैं, हम अनित्य हो गए. Because of what? Because of time, because of Kal. Kal will create mortality. So in this way, transitional phase is that covering which covers the pure, luminous, intelligent consciousness residing within. So abhi tak kitne elements aa chuke hain? 5 from the Shuddha Tattva, then again 6 from the transitional phase, total 11, right? Rest of the 25 are limited. They are limited in their powers and potencies. So they are from Purush, Prakriti, Buddhi, Ahankar, Man, 5 senses, 5 actions, 5 tanmatras, 5 bhutas or mahabhutas. Now first is Purush. Who is Purush? After the transitional phase, this Chit is covered and delimited. Now this luminous intelligent consciousness cannot desire everything, cannot perform everything, cannot know everything. So this becomes Purush. That's why I told you, for Purush we have the variation Puri Sharire Vasati Anen Iti Purushaha. Sharir Rupi Nagar में जो रहता है वह पुरुष है. That means the one who resides in the city of this gross structure, that is consciousness or Purush. So Purush is that intelligent, luminous consciousness which has been delimited in its potencies because of Maya and its 5 coverings. That means the transitional elements. Now what is Prakriti? After Purush there is a concept of Prakriti. What is Prakriti? The primordial material. What after the covering, just like imagine yourself, you are conscious, you know it, you are aware, you are having intelligence, you are having luminosity, but you are having so many gross structures like within yourself, liver, kidney, stomach, GIT, so many structures within, skeleton system, कितना सारा अंदर भी बहुत सारा है. So what is that? That is Prakriti, the primordial material. Each and every creature is having that primordial material. That is Prakriti. Then Buddhi. Then comes the evolution or emergence or appearance of Buddhi. Once everything gets delimited, Buddhi becomes functional. And Buddhi is what? Nishchayatmika Buddhi. Decision making will be done by Buddhi. Then Ahankar. First, the sequence is like Ahankar, then Buddhi. Ahankar is I-ness. Immediately, when you possess consciousness and you possess Prakriti, you possess Purush and Prakriti, immediately you will relate it with that. This is my body. मैं हूँ, ये मेरा शरीर है. मुझे और किसी का, suppose you are getting awake in the morning, you see yourself in the mirror and you find that you have changed. You are somewhere else. What would happen? You would go in an extreme shock because you were attached to your I-ness was attached to that structure you possess, that primordial material that you possessed, right? So immediately once you are having Purush and Prakriti, immediately you will relate yourself with that. I did it. This is my work. I completed that thesis. I-ness gets related with that, that is Ahankar. Immediately, just like Ravan is exclaiming कि मैं हूँ, मेरी पूजा करो. Hiranyakashipu is also exclaiming that thing, right? मेरी पूजा करो, मैं भगवान हूँ तुम्हारा. I-ness is that which is Ahankar. Because of that I-ness, we relate ourselves with everything. And after Ahankar, Buddhi becomes functional. Buddhi makes decisions. Then Manas. After Buddhi, Manas is there. Manas is Sankalpa Vikalpatmakaha Manaha. That means selection among the possible options available is done by Manas. And Manas is Ubhaya Indriya. It is bimodal in nature. So it receives the stimuli, then it responds to the stimuli also simultaneously. After Manas, there are 5 senses, Panch Jnanendriya, 5 actions, Panch Karmendriya, then 5 Tanmatras. 5 senses are very subtle. You make a difference. Don't translate it sense organs. There is a difference between sense organ and senses. Senses are subtle and abstract. You cannot actually identify their perfect shape, size and structure. But sense organs are having a perfect shape, size and structure. Just like you have this ear in this format, but not all the creatures possess this Shrotra Indriya in this format, right? So sense organs are gross structures. They can have specified delimited shape, size, dimensions, etc. But senses are abstract. They are available to everyone universally without a perfect shape, size and structure. Okay? So senses and sense organs are different things. In the same way, actions and action organs are different things. Here you can see that Jnanendriyas in Sanskrit are denoted as Shrotra, Tvak, Chakshu, Rasana and Grahana. Karma Indriyas are named as Vak, Padi, Pad, Payu and Upastha. So Vak, then Padi, then Pad. After this we have 5 Panch Tanmatras. Tanmatra kya hai? Again you split the word. Tanmatra. Split the word, it will be Tad, then Matra. Tad means again same, Tad is coming from Tat, the neuter gender. Tat means that. Matra means only. So that only is available. Who is that? Again that, wherever that comes means consciousness. जहाँ भी केवल चैतन्य मात्र है वो तन मात्र है. And tanmatra are shabda, sparsh, roop, ras, gandh. So in general understanding you can understand that these are the stimuli we receive. When we are in a process of understanding the things, we receive the stimuli, then we respond to the stimuli. So receiving the stimuli, whatever the stimuli are there, they can be understood as tanmatras. Shabda, sparsh, roop, ras, gandh. And after this, from the Shabda Sparsh Rupa Rasa Gandha itself, we have 5 bhutas or mahabhutas, that is Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal and Prithvi. So the gross structure of Akash or Vayu or Jal, these gross structures which are visible to us in the form of Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal and Prithvi. Even the Vayu is not visible, it can be felt. केवल हम फील कर सकते हैं उसको, देख नहीं सकते हैं, लेकिन हमारी स्पर्श इंद्रिय उसको परसीव कर लेती है. So these are the 5 bhutas. In this way, the group of 5, that is पंच ज्ञानेन्द्रिय, पंच कर्मेंद्रिय, पंच तन्मात्र and पंच भूत. कितने हो गए? 20. And then 5 are there. That is 25. So total 25 are limited entities. They are limited entities. So you just imagine that at the first stage the consciousness was there, luminous intelligent consciousness, which was covered by Maya and its 5 kanchukas, which are transitional phase, and after that whatever is coming into appearance, that is just the covering, and that is limited. So after this 36 level of limitation, we are there, or everything is there. So we are having the 36 levels of limitations, then we are available as a human being or as any kind of manifested entity. Even this table also have the 36 tattvas. So this is how we understand Tattva Mīmānsa of Kashmir Śaiva Darśana. In the next class, we will discuss Pramāna Mīmānsa, then Srishti Prakriya. For this lecture, this is sufficient. Thank you.